You know, I was looking for a short, fun, hilarious read, and Kings of the Wild isn't doing it for me, Rich. It's just not working.
You're a really picky, pedantic bastard. Give this book a shot.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to the Toot Around Podcast. My name is Richard.
My name is Austin.
Today, we're back to a classic.
I'm excited.
Doing something we haven't done in well over a year at this point.
Year and a half.
Yeah. So
Maybe two.
we've gotten a couple comments before of like, hey, bring back the pitch reviews. Pitch a book where it's spoiler free the entire time. I read a book. Austin didn't read a book. I try and get Austin to read said book. That's the time.
It's a pitch.
Maybe you'll read it too.
Ooh.
So I do got to shout out Coop. He got me to read this book, and I had a great time, and that's why we're here today.
It sounds like a fun title too. You know when you got a title that hits? Orconomics.
Orconomics by J. Zachary Pike.
Wow. And can I say the one thing I know about this book?
Go ahead.
You know all the rest about it.
Yeah.
The one thing I know is this was a self-published book by Zachary Pike, and it was in the SPFBO.
Yes,
the
sir.
science fiction fantasy with Mark Lawrence, who hosts this every year. And didn't that win?
It did. It won in 2018.
Wow.
So
neat.
So successful book. It won the award. It's
Yes.
self-published book. To give some other little details about it,
Yes.
it's not super long of a book, but also not a novella length. So it's an approachable book. It's not your Sanderson chonker. It's at approximately 102,000 words.
Oh, done.
Approachable book. I
Great.
think I read the book in 2-3-ish days, roughly.
Oh, but you weren't hammering it all the time. You did
No.
a casual 2-3 day
That was a
read.
casual 2-3 day read for me. So
for those out there, that would be a day read because, Rich is on his reading comprehension isn't so good nowadays.
my brain's a little smooth around the edges. We took a round out bit to it, but but also on Goodreads, it has a 4.29 out and with 8,500 ish ratings. So that's above 5,000 ratings and above a 4 star on Goodreads. That's pretty good.
That is. Also, I do like the fact it's self-published and people don't know this award, SPFPO, Sort of Kaigen, which we love, won 2019. This one won 2018. So if anybody's kind of looking for a self-published book that has high accolades, and you, before giving us what's the pitch and all that, you did like it a lot, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give all of my detailed ratings, but my overall score is a 4 out of 5. I think this book is great.
Oh,
it's a great book.
Neat.
So I'm just going to give a quick read literally the back of the cover.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into more details and stuff like that.
Let's do it.
Sounds good? All right. Professional heroes kill and loot deadly monsters every day, but Gorm Ingerson's latest quest will be anything but business as usual. The adventuring industry drives the economy of Arth, a world much like our own, but with more magic and fewer vowels. Monsters' hordes are claimed, bought by corporate interests, and sold off to plunder funds long before the Heroes Guild actually kills the beasts. Of course, that's a terrible arrangement for the Shadowkin. Orcs, goblins, kobolds, and their ilk must apply to become non-combatant paper carriers, or NPCs, to avoid being killed and looted by the heroes. When Gorm Ingerson, a dwarven ex-hero with a checkered past, stands up for an undocumented goblin, he inadvertently singles himself out for recruitment by a prophet of the Mad Goddess to undertake a suicidal quest. But there's more to Gorm's new job than an insane prophecy. Powerful corporations and governments have shown an unusual interest in the quest. If his party of eccentric misfits can stop fighting each other long enough to recover the elven marbles, wink wink, Gorm might be able to turn a bad deal into a golden opportunity.
That sounds fun.
So, books that this is like. It is most similar in tone to Kings of the Wild.
The one you slapped out of my hand earlier?
The one I slapped out of your hand.
There it is.
Earlier.
It's actually, it's not, Kings of the Wild is not a bad book either.
It's not a bad book.
We just thought it was,
it's okay.
But this, you would go.
I think this is better.
Bigger thumbs up for Orconomics.
And I'll give more specific details. A lot of this is in terms of taste. So with Kings of the Wild having all of the, not 70, like the 80, was it 70s or 80s?
I think 80s rock, but mostly it was rock.
With 80s rock references. Might have been earlier too. I like rock, but I'm not big into it. Like, I don't know all the references. With this, it is a satire on D&D and broadly capitalism, but that to me would be boring. In general, like, oh, critiquing capitalism, brave, aren't you? An original idea.
Marxist speech to it, buddy.
Like, I don't know. It can get dull for me. Specifically, though, because if it was just that, it probably wouldn't be that interesting to me. But it's specifically a satire on the 2008 financial crisis in the United States with mainly the housing loans and the housing market.
Yeah.
So that already way more fascinating to me, of like, that's actually a little bit more interesting and a fun way to tie that to the fantasy genre. I don't get all the D&D references, which there are plenty, but I'm not much of a D&D player. So those kind of jokes kind of go over my head.
In the thumbnail, we have D&D plus The Big Short film equals Orconomics. You'd say that's a good bellwether if you'd like this book?
Yeah, this book starts off... So another, to throw out another tonal book would be Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh.
Good satire,
okay,
D&D type stuff. Like, so that's the vein that this book really is in.
Okay.
However, that's how it starts. This book's tone is, I think, very interesting because it starts off as your general satire on capitalism and D&D, and that's kind of what you think that it is. Like, oh, okay, kind of funny, but very generic and not very original, at least as a premise would go. But the book goes a little deeper. Instead of just about D&D funny tropes, where a lot of characters, how they're introduced as stereotypes. And you go, okay, the generic, wizards are fighting because of their different magic classes. You got the long-lived elf, and then you have the bard who, is a little too hanky-panky with the elf. Like, all right, I get it. But each character actually has a lot more depth to them by the end. Well, okay, not every character. They all have it, but some are focused on more than others. It is important to clarify this is the first book in a trilogy.
Are the other books out?
Yes.
Also, completed trilogy.
Completed trilogy.
Nice.
That's another tick in the win column.
Wow.
So, several characters are very stand out to me.
Yep.
I would say Gorm Ingerson is the main character. That's your dwarven hero. Starts off of this kind of, I'll set the scene for people. I think this is chapter 1 spoilers if people care, but come on, it's chapter 1.
Chapter 1, yep.
Gorm Ingerson is introduced as we have a regular hero, basically in the midst of his hero activities, where he has taken down the goblin stash and hoard in this man's village, and he's negotiating with the villager on the share of the loot. The villager then laments his problems of, you took all my stuff and then charged me to get some of it back. And he's like, no, this is not your stuff. It's the goblin's loot. And the guy goes, no, that's my stuff. The goblin took it from me. And I took it from the goblin, which makes it mine. It's like, but you burned my entire field down. I had to be sure to get every single one. But then you destroyed all my stuff in my house. Well, that's where the goblin was set up. I had to destroy the goblin's base. But then you slept with my daughter. Standard hero practice, sir. That's the rules. That's the rules of heroship. Anyway, as this conversation ensues, one goblin bursts out of hiding. and starts running. And the hero's like, well, hey, he's run away. It's all right. I've destroyed the horde. We're good. And the man goes, no. Per the contract that you signed, which of course includes sleeping with my daughter, it includes slay every single goblin. So you're not getting any of this money, any of the horde, until you go slay that goblin. So the hero reluctant goes, well, it's in the contract. So he starts running. He finally comes across this goblin.
This is all chapter 1.
This is all chapter 1.
Yeah.
He's running. He finally chases down this goblin when all of a sudden they trip and fall right into Gorm Ingerson's, our main character's, lap. They all scream of like, random dwarf. And through all of this, Gorm actually sides with the goblin rather than the human adventurer and robs the human adventurer of his stuff. And the goblin, seeing this of like, hey, this is the first person to actually like not kill me on sight. I'm going to stick around with this guy. His name is Gleebeck. Gleebeck is the best character in this series. I love Gleebeck. Gleebeck starts following Gorm Ingerson and becomes his squire. That's the start of our journey.
Very neat. So I'm getting, you said it's more so the D&D, Kings of the Wild, Dungeon Crawler Carl humor. I'm getting it's not British humor, right? You're not getting those.
No.
Terry Pratchett, Douglas Adams, none of the Hitchhiker stuff.
A lot of it is mostly situational humor. So I think Kings of the Wild has a lot more direct
dick jokes.
Yep. Dick joke type humor, which is funny. Dick jokes can be funny. This is more situational humor. It's funny of the setup and the situation characters are in and then how they respond.
Neat.
And that's pretty funny. So I enjoyed those aspects of it.
Also some really fun names.
Oh, some great names. So you have Gorm Ingerson,
Yeah.
Gleebeck the goblin, Kaitha the elf, Heraldin the bard / other, thief. Geist, Jin, Laruna, Niln, Thane, and Barucht. I won't give what those characters are.
Neat.
But the characters are actually incredibly well done. There's a couple of them go through very interesting arcs, and the ending is far more emotionally impactful than I expected to have in this book. This book felt far more tragic and interesting by the end.
Wow.
I'm very excited to read book 2 myself.
What would you say the strengths were as far as were characters your favorite part, or did something else top that? Our categories, not going through all of them, but just saying, hey, this was the best part. This is what, if you're this kind of reader, read it. Character reader?
Character reader's up there. World is interesting, but I would say the message is also really well done.
Okay.
So I think this handles specifically, so as I was talking about before, that it is the back of the book, the big umbrella themes of satire D&D, satire of capitalism.
Yeah.
That's the surface layer approach. It actually goes into themes specifically on the 2008 housing financial crisis, and then it also goes into much deeper detail on addiction. I think it does exploring the pains and the experience of addiction very, very well. I think it handles that incredibly well. It also goes over class struggle in a better way than I've seen in many other stories.
Wow.
Plenty of great historical references from the back of the book. The Elven marbles is a reference to the Elgin marbles, the Greek marble epitaphs. No, not like what's the right term? They're not statues. Like the statues. So on the Parthenon, the marbles that go across the top crown that circles around the Parthenon.
Yep.
There's these marble carvings. Forget what the actual term would be, but they're called the Elgin marbles. They were basically sold to the British because Greece had a corrupt government, and they were sold to the British. They're in the British Museum, and now Greece actually has a more stable, less corrupt government, and actually has a cool museum, been to, really awesome museum. And so they want him back to put him in their museum because it's their stuff. And so then the British Museum says, nah, because it's ours. Anyway,
so Orconomics has something to say about that?
That exact whole situation is also parodied and satirized in this book pretty well. I would say the actual real result is more interesting and complex than that, but this book does a fun job satirizing the event.
Oh, cool.
More details into... I do have to explain, like, I want to emphasize that this book comes across as, like, silly satire fun, and I think it has a lot of heart with characters that you feel really invested in, and definitely is not a happy-go-lucky story all the time. It can be pretty tragic.
So for the kind of person that likes a more not digestible, but this is more open to fantasy fans, would you say somebody that's reading this, you don't need to be into high fantasy artsy books, but maybe would scratch both itches for somebody like you who likes a little bit more depth?
Yeah.
But also, it seems I'm looking for broad appeal is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Does it have a broad appeal?
It does. And I also do have to emphasize that it being a self-published book, it doesn't really read that way.
So the
prose is really well done in the sense of not, again, it's the stereotype and connotation of what a self-published book often can feel a certain way, in the sense of the dialogue can sometimes feel awkward, out of place, like mainly just, hey, they didn't have an editor go through it.
Yeah.
Because often can't afford it or just don't have the same connections that a publisher does. But I didn't feel that way. If someone didn't tell me that this was self-published, I wouldn't know.
And you got to also do the check. I don't know if you give a great view of it. Can I take that? The
Go ahead.
cover rating.
Oh, cover rating is quite good.
What are we looking at cover-wise there?
Well, here's the thing. It's not even just the cover.
Yeah.
All of the art in here, I think, is really well done.
Look at the maps.
Maps are really well done.
For people on audio only, it is, how would you describe it? It looks like there's land and water.
Great job.
Yeah, we did it.
Hey, look, is it as cool as the, John Gwen's Fury of the Gods map? No. But no map
it's cooler than anything
it's
Abercrombie's done.
That is true.
You know?
Also, the audiobook was really well done. I did both audiobook and physical for this book.
We will obviously
audiobook is well done.
Is it Audible or is it elsewhere?
It is an Audible exclusive.
Okay.
You can pay for it on Audible, and then you can, it doesn't have to only be on Audible after you purchase it.
Can we say that? What the? Oh, you're implying someone.
I'm implying. Yeah, of course.
Well, you can also go steal something from your local grocery store. You could do that.
Well, no. See,
but
is it stealing if you pay for it and then you strip the DRM from it and then put it on your own device?
See, I'm just saying, like, you could do things in life.
You're
not necessarily saying you should do them.
Yeah. Strip the DRM from things. Fuck them. Fuck DRM.
But if you want to get Orconomics, we will have descriptions down below as well.
Yeah.
So for the physical and the audio, that'll be an affiliate link from us. Yeah. If you were convinced to read the book Orconomics, did you have any other details to put a little convincing dust on top of their totters?
Basically, this was a community book club that we had going on our Patreon exclusive Discord.
Yes.
We were convinced to sign up. Everyone in the book club loved this book.
Not
one negative Nancy in the group. Everyone loved it.
Was Levy there?
No.
That's why there wasn't a negative Nancy.
That's true.
You didn't have Levy.
I didn't have Levy. Oh, well. But no, it was a great time. It was all positives all around. I think we're all going to be continuing reading it. I believe book 2's book club will be in like March.
Okay. Oh, so this could be a read-along. Join our Patreon if you want to read along. I will have to catch up to you guys. You know what? I'm now committing. We are filming this January 2nd right now. It's not coming up January 2nd. We have like a 3-week timeline. It's just how we do things here.
Yeah.
But my New Year's resolution is a book a week. 52 books this year, and I'm going to surpass it.
Okay, good.
I will surpass it. I told Rich already about the consequences if I don't get my book a week.
One of them is he has to wear a turtleneck sweater
for a whole week during the whole day.
That's
brutal.
That's brutal for him because he's weird.
I hate turtlenecks. Oh, excuse me. But then if I fail the second time,
that sounds like a joke. He's just weird about clothes.
No, it's not a joke.
I know. It actually bothers you.
Turtlenecks.
It bothers you a lot more than it really should.
It does. But if I fail a second time, I will have to get a shot from Nicole. And then if I fail a third time, Nicole gives me an IV. Like, nothing in them, but just the fact that I have a deep fear of needles and IVs. Yeah. I shouldn't say that on the internet because now people will use my fear against me, but it's an actual...
You want
phobia.
More fun, like weird phobia things? He can't swallow pills.
I can't swallow pills. Actually, I can now.
You can?
If I put it in penne.
You're a goddamn dog.
I got that dog in me.
You're a sad, sad puppy.
Yeah, you look like an orc.
Yeah.
when the diss is 2 on the nose, you're like, well, I guess so.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe one of these days you'll be able to pitch to me a book. I'm hoping one of these days you could do that.
Now, what book would you want me to pitch?
I don't know. I've read the books. You haven't read the books.
I've been sneaking up on you. I've been reading some, you know what? I won't even say. I'll surprise you with it.
Ooh.
I'll surprise you with it.
You've been reading something behind my back?
I'll pop in on a Thursday and be like, hey, Rich, have you read da-da-da-da-da? I'm not going to say it because it's going to be hilarious.
Okay.
But I'll pull that trick on you in 2 months.
Fair enough. Have you been reading Realm of the Elderlings behind my back?
Imagine I just come finished. I Sanderson you instead of finishing 5 books. Rich, boom.
I finished Realm of the Elderlings.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of books.
Okay.
Yeah. But okay, if you want to check out Orconomics, check the description down below. Let us know if you like these kind of spoiler-free pitches. We're doing this, 1, because you liked Orconomics. 2, we've not done a spoiler-free pitch literally in over 1.5 years, 2 years, and people were asking like, hey, you guys ever going to do that again? So
let us know down below if you actually like this kind of format, and we'll try and do more if this does well.
Hell yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.